Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract success, wealth, and abundance into their lives, while others struggle endlessly despite working twice as hard? What if I told you that the answer has nothing to do with luck, connections, or even how many hours you put in? What if the secret to transforming your reality was hidden in plain sight, taught by ancient mystics, encoded in sacred scriptures, and now validated by quantum physics itself? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most powerful manifestation technologies ever discovered, something that goes far beyond vision boards, affirmations, or positive thinking. This is about identity shifting, and understanding this principle could be the breakthrough you've been searching for. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, let me ask you something personal. Has this ever happened to you? You set a goal. You work incredibly hard toward it. You do everything the experts tell you to do, and yet somehow the results just don't come. You might make some progress, but deep down something feels off. You feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill, and the moment you stop pushing, everything slides right back to where it started. You might even blame yourself, thinking you're not disciplined enough, not smart enough, or not worthy enough. But here's the truth that might surprise you. It's not about discipline, strategy, or effort. It's about identity. The version of you that's trying to create success right now is fundamentally different from the version of you who can actually sustain that success. And until you bridge that gap, you'll keep experiencing the same frustrating cycles. This isn't just philosophical theory. Carl Jung himself experienced this transformation firsthand. Imagine being at rock bottom, 2 homes in foreclosure, credit cards maxed out, no clear path forward. That was Jung's reality. Yet he went on to build a $40 million business and completely revolutionize his life. The shift didn't happen because he discovered some secret marketing strategy or worked harder than everyone else. It happened because he stopped trying to get success and instead became the identity of the person who already had it. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover will challenge everything you think you know about manifestation and personal transformation. This isn't about faking it until you make it. This is about understanding the psychological, neurological, and energetic mechanics of how human beings actually create lasting change. When your current reality doesn't match your potential, there's a specific reason why, and it has everything to do with the identity you're operating from right now. The breakthrough happens not when you force different results, but when you become the person those results naturally belong to. So the real question becomes, who do you need to become? And how do you actually make that shift from where you are now to the version of yourself who effortlessly lives the reality you're dreaming about? This is where most people get stuck, because they're trying to use their current operating system to download a completely different life. It doesn't work that way. The transformation requires a complete recalibration of how you see yourself, and there's a powerful framework that makes this process tangible and real. Picture this. You take a simple piece of paper and draw a line straight down the middle, creating 2 distinct columns. Then, on the right side, you split it horizontally, giving you 3 sections to work with. This isn't some complicated exercise that requires hours of your time. It's elegant, it's simple, and it's devastatingly effective. In the bottom right section, you're going to write down 5 to 7 goals and dreams. Not just any goals, but the things that the future version of yourself would have already created. Maybe it's a specific amount of money in your bank account. Maybe it's complete vitality and health in your body. Perhaps it's building a thriving business or developing a profound spiritual connection. These aren't just wishes. They're the coordinates of your destination, the roadmap of who you're becoming. Now here's where the real revelation happens, and this is where most personal development teaching gets it completely wrong. On the left side of that paper, you need to assess with brutal honesty who you're actually being right now. Not who you want to be, not who you pretend to be on social media, but who you truly are in your daily thoughts, emotions, and actions. Consider your regular thought patterns and beliefs. What emotions are you experiencing on a consistent basis? What actions are you actually taking every single day? Carl Jung recognized his own patterns when he did this exercise. Constant stress and worry, overworking himself to exhaustion, trapped in indecision, always comparing himself to others, never feeling present or relaxed, perpetually feeling behind schedule, convinced he didn't have enough time for what mattered. These weren't random struggles. These were what he called bad plays, the strategies his current identity kept running, believing they would somehow produce his goals, when in reality they were the exact things preventing him from achieving them. If this content resonates with you and you want to continue this journey of transformation together, hit that subscribe button. I'm here creating insights that can genuinely shift your reality, and I want to make sure you're part of this community. This is the hidden truth most people never uncover about their own journey. The very behaviors and mindsets they think are helping them succeed are actually the invisible barriers keeping them stuck. You might believe that worrying more will help you avoid problems, that hustling harder will finally break through, that comparing yourself to others will motivate you to do better. But these are the plays of your old identity, and they can never produce the results that belong to your future self. Now, I want to go even deeper into this revelation because understanding what's blocking you is only half the equation. The real power comes when you discover who you need to become and how to actually embody that identity starting right now. Write in the comments, "I see my patterns clearly," if this is resonating with you, because what comes next is going to show you exactly how to shift from the person you've been to the person you're destined to become. Let me share a moment that crystallized this entire concept in a way that changed everything. Jung was running a major marketing campaign, and he had poured everything into it, his energy, his expertise, his resources. He expected 250 people to enroll. When the numbers came in, only 30 had signed up. It was a crushing blow, and the timing couldn't have been worse. It was Christmas. His living room was decorated beautifully. His family was gathering. There was laughter and music filling the house. But Jung couldn't be present for any of it. His mind was spinning in circles, analyzing what went wrong, searching for the mistake, drowning in that familiar pattern of worry and self-criticism. Then something shifted. He asked himself one simple but transformative question. If I had $10 million in my bank account right now, how would that version of me be responding to this situation? The answer hit him immediately. $10 million Jung wouldn't be obsessing over the failed campaign. He would be playing with his son. He would be appreciating the Christmas decorations his wife had lovingly arranged. He would be singing carols with his family. He would be fully present in the beauty of that moment, because that version of himself knew with absolute certainty that one setback meant nothing in the grand scheme of his journey. And in that revelation, Jung realized the profound truth. The path forward wasn't about fixing the marketing campaign or figuring out what went wrong. The path forward was becoming $10 million Jung right now, in that very moment. This isn't just philosophical theory. Jung had lived this exact principle before in a completely different context. During his recovery from addiction, he noticed something remarkable. When he was acting like an addict, thinking like an addict, making decisions like an addict, the result was always more addiction. It was a perfect feedback loop. But when he entered the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and started acting like a sober person, thinking the way sober people think, feeling the way sober people feel, doing what sober people do, something miraculous happened. Given enough time and consistency, he actually became sober. The behavior came first, and the identity transformation followed. This is the hidden mechanism behind all lasting change, and it applies to absolutely everything. If you want to become a millionaire, you don't wait until you have $1 million to start thinking, feeling, and acting like a millionaire. You embody that identity now, not by spending money you don't have, but by adopting the mindset, the emotional state, the daily decisions and actions that millionaires naturally operate from. The external reality is always a reflection of the internal identity. When Jung sat in that living room on Christmas, he made a conscious decision to stop being the version of himself who was broke, stressed, and desperate, and start being the version who had already achieved everything he wanted. From that moment of clarity came a complete shift in his experience, and eventually his results followed. Type in the comments, "I choose my new identity," if you're ready to make this same shift, because what I'm about to reveal next will show you the exact framework for sustaining this transformation and ensuring it becomes your permanent reality, not just a temporary high or fleeting motivation. Here's what makes this approach so powerful. It's not just some New Age concept or spiritual fantasy. This principle has been encoded in human wisdom for thousands of years. You'll find it in Rosicrucian teachings, in Hermetic principles that governed ancient mystery schools, in wisdom traditions that predate modern civilization. The 33 levels of Masonic lodge rituals were designed around this exact understanding of human transformation. These weren't random practices, they were systematic methods for reshaping identity at the deepest levels. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Modern neuroscience and behavioral psychology have now proven what the mystics always knew. When you consistently act like the person who has already achieved the outcome, your brain literally rewires itself through neuroplasticity. Your neural pathways strengthen in the direction of your new behaviors, your belief systems shift to match your actions, and your entire nervous system begins to operate from a different baseline. This isn't metaphor. It's measurable, observable science. The ancient wisdom and cutting-edge research are saying the exact same. And thing from different languages. Whether you approach this from a spiritual perspective or a purely pragmatic psychological one, the mechanism works identically. Your external reality will always conform to your internal identity. So here's where the real work begins, and this is the part that separates those who merely understand the concept from those who actually transform their lives. Once you've mapped out your goals in that bottom right quadrant and honestly assessed your current patterns, on the left side, you need to get crystal clear on who you would be if you had already accomplished everything you're striving for. Not what you would have, but who you would be. What would you be thinking on a daily basis? What emotional states would you naturally inhabit? What actions would you consistently take? Jung discovered that his future self, the version who had already built the wealth, the health, the success he desired, would be fundamentally different in every way. Instead of being stressed and worried, that version would be relaxed and trusting. Instead of never making time for himself, he would prioritize the gym, meditation, and personal space. Instead of being paralyzed by indecision, he would be decisive and self-confident. Instead of hoarding resources out of scarcity, he would be generous with his time and money. And instead of procrastinating or inconsistent action, he would move forward with clarity and consistency. These aren't just personality traits. These are What Jung called the good plays, the behaviors that are actually congruent with producing the results you want. And here's the critical step that most people miss. You need to name this future version of yourself. Give it an identity. Jung called his $10 million Carl Jung because that name immediately reminded him of who he was becoming. When you name this version, it becomes real, tangible, something you can step into consciously throughout your day. The question then becomes, how do you practice being this person right now before any of the external results have shown up? Because that's where the magic happens. In the gap between who you've been and who you're becoming, and the way you navigate that space determines. Write "I am becoming" in the comments if you can feel this shift happening inside you, because what comes next reveals the specific practices that anchor this new identity into your daily reality and ensure you don't slip back into the old patterns that have kept you stuck for so long. Let me share something that perfectly illustrates how this works in real life. Jung was working with a client who desperately wanted to grow his business. They went through this entire framework together, mapping out goals, identifying current patterns, defining the future self. But the real breakthrough happened in the most unexpected place, at a restaurant. This client had been tipping conservatively every single time he went out to eat. His reasoning seemed logical. He didn't have as much money as he wanted yet, so he needed to be careful with every dollar. But when Jung asked him a simple question, would the version of you who has already tripled your business tip this way? Everything changed. The client realized immediately that his future self, the successful entrepreneur he was becoming, would be generous, not reckless, but genuinely generous with money, time, and resources. So he started tipping generously, acting as if he had already achieved the success he was working toward. And here's what's remarkable. Within a relatively short period, his business actually tripled. Now, was it just about tipping more at restaurants? Of course not. But that single shift in behavior represented a fundamental change in identity. He stopped operating from scarcity and started embodying abundance. That one decision rippled through every other area of his business and life because he was now making choices from a completely different consciousness. This is the hidden mechanism of transformation. When you practice the behaviors of your future self, you literally create the conditions for that future to manifest. If something clicked for you while watching this, if you felt that spark of recognition or possibility, show me by hitting the like button. It lets me know this message is landing where it needs to. Think about the insanity of the alternative approach. Most people are trying to worry themselves into success, compare themselves into achievement, criticize themselves into excellence, and overwork themselves into abundance. It's a completely backward strategy, yet it's what almost everyone is doing. The breakthrough comes when you recognize these bad plays for what they are, patterns that will never produce the results you want, and you consciously choose to stop running them. Instead, you identify the good plays, the behaviors and mindsets that are actually aligned with your desired outcome, and you practice those relentlessly. Imagine living your life relaxed and trusting instead of stressed and anxious. Imagine taking real time for yourself, going to the gym, meditating, creating space in your schedule, instead of constantly grinding. Imagine being decisive and self-confident instead of second-guessing every choice. Imagine being generous with your resources instead of operating from fear and scarcity. Imagine taking consistent action from a place of clarity instead of procrastinating or forcing yourself through sheer willpower. These aren't luxuries you get to enjoy after you achieve success. These are the exact plays that produce success. And when you commit to running these good plays with consistency, when you give yourself enough time to embody this new identity fully, you absolutely must produce the results. It doesn't matter if your goal is sobriety, physical fitness, deeper relationships, business growth, or financial abundance. The principle is universal, and the outcome is inevitable. The key is patience and unwavering commitment to practicing your new identity, even when the external evidence hasn't caught up yet, even when your bank account still shows the same number, even when... Drop "new identity activated" in the comments if you're ready to commit to this practice, because what I'm about to reveal will tie everything together and show you exactly how to maintain this transformation long-term, even when life throws challenges your way and tests whether you're truly committed to this new version of yourself, or if you're still holding on to the comfort of your old identity. Look, if you've made it this far with me, I already know something about you. You're not here by accident. You're someone who's genuinely ready for change, someone who understands that transformation isn't about quick fixes or surface-level motivation. You're willing to look honestly at yourself, to name the patterns that haven't been serving you, and to step courageously into a new way of being. That takes real commitment, and I see you. If this message resonated with you, if something shifted inside while you were watching, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I create content like this regularly because I believe these insights can genuinely change lives, and I want to make sure you don't miss what's coming next. The journey of transformation doesn't end here. There's so much more to explore together. And leave me a comment saying, "This message was meant for me," so I know you were here, so I know this landed with you. I read every single comment, and there's something powerful about declaring your intention publicly. It makes the shift real. If you found value in what we explored today, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps this message reach other people who need to hear it, people who are ready to stop running the bad plays and start embodying their future self. There's a video right here that goes even deeper into maintaining this identity shift when life gets challenging, when doubts creep in, when the old patterns try to pull you back. Click and continue with me over there. Let's keep this momentum going and make sure this transformation sticks for good.